And so what we'll end up with is a lot of people losing their land, even more, even if they find another option like the environmental exemptions or environmental valuations, many people stopping raising animals for food. And so your only options start becoming the Tysons and the Cargills. We'll have a food supply that is already far too controlled by these companies that will be entirely controlled by these companies.
Unbelievable.
And, at a minimum, what we're talking about is increased cost, lower quality, the sort of things you find in any monopoly. That's the best case scenario.
Unbelievable.
Worst case scenario, it goes downhill from there because food is what you need to survive. And we don't want to have to be dependent on multinational corporations for basic necessity of life.
And then they can force you to buy their GMO products. And I'm sure you've seen accompanying this, you're a lawyer, the bill they've got introduced to basically crack down and restrict organic farming. This is getting wild.
The scary thing is there are about 6 bills in Congress right now, all under the heading of food safety. And all of them contain provisions for what's called like best management practices or best scientific risk analysis, different terms. But they basically boil down to the agencies telling people how to farm.
Yeah, turning hordes of control freak, carbon footprint eugenicists loose on the people. What does the war map look like right now? How bad is it? I know we're having victories and defeats. How do we defeat them?
Well, right now there's a big opening because the USDA is holding listening sessions all around the country. And I'm not holding my breath that USDA is actually listening. In fact, I bet they aren't. But the point is, if we get huge crowds there and overwhelmingly at meeting after meeting after meeting, people there say, we don't want this, stop it. That's how we hopefully get mainstream press attention. We start reaching out to the Congress, putting pressure on them. So even, whether USDA is listening or not is almost irrelevant. What we need crowds at these meetings. And I
was listening to Derry Brownfield this morning, and he said he's gone to meetings and talked to people that are at them. He said you'll have 500 people against this, but 5 or 6 people for it, and they're all the local farm bureau heads who openly have gotten money from the feds and others, literally like 20 pieces of silver.
Oh, absolutely. Last week we had the listening session here in Texas. Huge crowd, person after person after person from every walk of life, including people who have technological backgrounds and understand the technology, standing up and saying, don't do this. It's a bad program. We don't want it. And then the handful of people who spoke for it were the Texas Dairymen Association, whose parent organization has gotten money, the pork producers, whose parent organization has gotten money, and that was about it,
Yeah, well, these are big monopoly men. The dairy folks want a monopoly, so they want to shut down small dairies. The pork people want to shut down the small operators. Folks, this is do or die. These are offshore corporations coming in and turning hardcore control freaks loose on you. And I've met these DNR people and others. Almost every one of them are right out of 1940 Russia. These are like Stalinists. Stay with us.
The world appears to be on the brink of collapse. Experts say a pinch of heirloom vegetable seed could soon be the most valuable resource on Earth because it will provide healthy food now and every year after. Survivalistseeds.com now has the Heirloom Garden Seed Time Capsule, allowing you to store your seeds for the future anywhere, even underground, for 100 years. The Heirloom Garden Seed Time Capsule can withstand 3 tons of weight, is 100% rodent-proof, waterproof, and comes with a whopping 6,000 healthy vegetable seeds from 20 varieties that will grow anywhere in the USA. Unless you trust the government, the Heirloom Garden Seed Time Capsule and heirloom seeds from survivalistseeds.com is your long-term food solution. Our competition charges 10 cents to $1.25 per seed for these same heirloom varieties. But you can now have a head of lettuce, a bundle of carrots, a basket of tomatoes, a giant watermelon, and 16 other varieties for about a penny a seed each. Be prepared. Buy your heirloom seeds today from survivalistseeds.com and have food insurance for your family forever. Visit survivalistseeds.com. Survivalistseeds.com is owned by Big John Lipscomb, host of the Don't Tread on Me radio show.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing worse than paying giant property taxes on your own land and having these government bureaucrats come out with their badges and their guns and bug their eyes out at you. And I'm not against people with long hair and ponytails. It's just that I've seen it a lot. They show up, they're looking at everything you got, and they want your land. All over the country, we've caught the phony environmentalists moving into farms and ranches they steal and harass. Or they'll claim you got pot on your property and come in and shoot you. That's been a lot of famous cases of that. And you're saying, well, I'm not like that. I'm a good cop. Well, whatever. It's on record what's going on. And it's just like the sheriff of Nottingham. It's feudalism. It's serfdom. Got her for about another 10 minutes. Then Kevin Trudeau's coming up. We really appreciate her. And I got to get Judith McGeary on for a full hour because I get so mad about what's happening. I keep interrupting, going, and this is happening, and that's happening. And she could talk for an hour on each point I'm making. She's such an expert on this and such a great lady. But give out the website for folks that want to find out more. Tell them what else is happening, how we fight this, where it's going.
Our website is farmandranchfreedom.org. That's farmandranchfreedom.org. And there's a section on take action. And if you aren't going to read anything else on there, go straight to that section. You can download flyers. You can download, frequently asked questions. You can do all sorts of stuff because the key is getting the word out. I mean, the problem we've got is when you go to these meetings or you go to a county fair or any place, 90% of the people you talk to are against it. But also, you go to a lot of places and 50 or 60 or 70% of the people have never even heard about it. And certainly when you go into the cities, it's even fewer people who've heard about it. And that's our problem. The problem is they can push things through based on, feel-good sound bites, that this is a food safety program, things like that. And people don't know any better. And so education and reaching out to people is where we really need help.
Well, Judith, what's killing our communities is not just all this foreign bad food coming in that has no standards, and then all our food has higher and higher standards. And every time foreign food causes a health problem, they try to blame it on domestic. This is clearly a globalist model, as you know. But all the rural areas have got satellite dishes. They're watching TV. They're not down, at the coffee shop talking. They're not involved. They have disconnected, and they're going to lose their communities if they don't get fired up and involved right now.
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot of pessimism in the rural communities. I think they feel, a lot of the rural communities feel that there's no point, that they no longer have a voice in the government because they're so outnumbered by the cities. And so they've given up, a lot of folks. Even if they stay on their farms, even if they're still trying to keep their farm together, in terms of activism, in terms of civic involvement, they've thrown up their hands. And we've got to get the city folks involved. This is about a food supply.
How did the land of the free, home of the brave, turn into a bunch of cowards that just roll over on their backs with their belly facing up towards the buzzards? I mean, I'm challenging people in the city, in the rural areas, all of you, to educate yourselves on this seminal key issue and to get aggressive and kick some New World Order butt. This is outrageous what they're trying. You're saying get the cities involved. How do we do that?
We need letters to the editor. We need people to hit the local farmers markets. We need people to hit co-ops. We need people to go to health food stores. I mean, any place you can think of where people are a little bit away, just a little bit paying attention to their food, to their health, to these kinds of issues. That's an opening. Take it. Point out to them, okay, you care about food? Then you better start paying attention because you're not going to have these options anymore. You're not going to have the local farmers. You're not going to have the organics and the GMO-free if we don't do something to stop the corporate takeover of our food supply.
Do 5 more minutes with us. We're going to have you back in the near future. We'll give out the website again for folks on the other side. Then Kevin Trudeau's joining us. If you're driving along in your pickup truck in East Texas or in Fredericksburg, Texas, or in Kansas City, Missouri, out there on your farm, or in Northern California on your vineyard, I'm calling you out, mister. You in the pickup truck right now. You get up off your butt and defend America. You defend our heritage now.
The GCN Radio Network, providing the world with hard-hitting talk radio. GCN, great talk radio starts here.